Hey, this is Tim Pierce. Here's a video on how to build your own pedal board. Click the link below for the expanded series on this in the Masterclass, and also for all the free videos not on YouTube, the soloing lessons. Thanks for watching. I used to build my own pedal boards. I spent probably 15 years, and I had a constant setup like this in my garage. And I spent a lot of nights listening to K-Rock on the radio here in LA, working on my pedal boards. And there was a constant, it was like a big giant kitchen with all the dishes out. It was just constantly a mess. I would always find, workarounds that were not professional, some pretty crazy workarounds for noise. And I would always pull my tuner out of like a stereo chorus that I would leave off, and the second output would be the tuner, stuff like that. I always had power strips on my boards. They always looked messy, but they always worked. And the thing, I knew how they worked. I could change them. I could fix them when they broke because I had routed everything myself. At a certain point I got burned out and I gave it up. I kind of have a hankering to do it myself again, only because if you do it yourself, you can change it constantly. So this device will allow me to save scenes and do combinations of pedal sounds, like 3 really cool pedals on this knob, 3 other really cool pedals on this knob, a combination of a pair of the pedals that are in these 2 groups on this knob. It's just endless. So, and right here at my feet, I don't have to reach over, and just with the touch of one button. So I'm really excited about this. Now look at the design of this and what they did. It's really smart. They put everything underneath, and including the power supply. And so I'm going to be able to run all the cable, which is the messy part of it, all the cables that aren't exactly the right length, because I'm not going to solder them. I can run them all under here, and it can be a mess under here, but nobody will ever see it. And it'll be easy to change and to fix, because all I have to do is flip the pedal board over to fix it. So this is a good solution here, because it's their biggest one, so I can get the most versatility for all the high power pedals. Under here is where all the ins and outs are, and I want you to note there's an insert between 6 and 7, and that's for the volume pedal. And then that's exactly what I've done here on this pedal board. You want to have all your overdrives, all the noisy stuff in front of the volume pedal, but then you want reverbs and delays, and also modulations too. You want those to be after, because they're quiet, and you want the delays and the reverbs to continue on. When you bring back the volume pedal, you want them to float after the sound goes away. At least I do. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the cables that go to the volume pedal. And I have this Diodario DIY solderless instrument cable kit. And I've used this kind of thing before. That's what I used to use all the time. I think this is a better version of what I used to use. And I'm going to make the volume pedal cables with the straight ends. And they're going to hang out, about this far probably. And like I said before, it will allow me to leave this off the pedal board. And that way I don't have to add the weight of it and the space of it. Because I'm going to pack this thing with pedals, and this will be off to the side. And what I have to do, and I can't stress this enough, you have to test everything. So the minute I finished the cable, I plugged it into the amp and looked for the pop. I didn't get a pop, and then I realized I had done something wrong. What I had done wrong is I was too forceful. So just a gentle twist, put it in, screw it in, and they work. I have to know which cable is the input and which is the output. So what I did is just a dot for the O and a line for the I. So anytime I plug in the volume pedal, I'll know which is the input and which is the output. I found my first pedal to wire in, and I had a couple of these vintage vibratos. One of them broke. This one still works. I dug it up. Took me a long time to find it, actually, and it's a great pedal. They're noisy. I think they reissued this, and I bet the reissue is fantastic. But this one, it's going to be great to have it on its own loop. Since these are all individual loops, I can use a noisy pedal, and it doesn't degrade anybody else in the family, as it were. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look online and remind myself of the general opinions about the way things should be patched. I'll even look at other players' pedal boards. Look how thin this thing is. This is going to take a really small footprint on the board. I mean, it's just the outlets. It's not wide at all. It's hard to find something like this. But it's short, so I had to attach another cable to it, extension cord. And this is going to sit up here at the top of the pedal board. Now all I'm doing here is testing the real estate. First of all, I didn't imagine I'd be able to put this on here, but then I thought, I use this thing all the time, and if I put it up at the top, I'll still have plenty of room down here, because it's a really big pedal. So I'm pleased about that. I was able to get it right at the top, and then before I cemented it down with dual lock, I made sure that these would fit just like this, and as long as they can be powered from the side, I can butt these up all like this. I took the pedal board down and put it on the floor, because I wanted to make sure my foot felt okay just with the tip of my foot hitting these buttons, and it did. Because if it was too shallow here and I couldn't hit this, that would have been a problem. I've dealt with that before. But there's just enough space here for me to use the tip of my foot, and it's not a problem. There's plenty of room to hit the switch. So here's a mock-up of how this will eventually look. The Lex will be here. These are placeholders. A lot of these pedals, I just want to check spacing. And what I need to do is, I need to get a tremolo pedal, I think, that's this size, but I love this one so much for now I'm going to use it. So, but eventually, this is, I'm really pleased with the way this has turned out. Like I said, some of these are placeholders right here. So it's really coming along, and I wanted to do another quick video before because it's going to be filled up pretty soon. I had to make some changes, but I'm real pleased with a few things. The guitar gets plugged into the buffer goes straight to the wah, comes out of the wah, and then goes straight to the input of the entire strip. I think that's nice, because none of this stuff needs to be on a loop. And this thing works great. I love the slider, so I'm looking forward to trying that out. As predicted, I have a plug that's very easy to access. I can pull out and plug into the non-buffered output, so I'm excited about that. Then this is part of the final, probably the last, this is in loop 8, this will be in loop 7 along with the reverb, so these are going to come over and go into the loop 7 that's down here. I also learned how easy this thing is to program. There's a couple of little markings here to remind you what they call it instant access for the pedals. The IA setting is the red and the preset setting is the green. And then this shows you which preset bank, and that shows you which high or low, which of the 4 loop buttons are active. It's that simple. So I'm really pleased about that too. This will be a work in progress. But the reverb and the timeline will be down at the end so that when I pull back the volume pedal, all the delays will keep cascading. And I'm excited though. I don't know if I'll exactly fill it. I'll pretty much fill it though. I may leave a space empty here or here, but we'll see. Okay. So here's how this thing finally ended up. I did not need the buffer. I love that little box, but as it turned out, I didn't need it. And I remembered how much I loved the box of rock, so I was able to slot that in the spot where the buffer was. So as planned, here's the input, then it goes down here to the wah, and then it goes into the pedal board. So these are not on a loop, so I can't really make this part of the switching, but I can use it manually if I need it. And that works great. Everything works great in that regard. What I chose for the first preset was my boost line driver. The second preset is the Nobles ODR1. Then number 3, let's have a look. The Boss EQ right here. And those 3 may change over time. You never know. Like I said, I can change any of these cables. It'll still look the same. And everything can go on different loops or in different combinations. So moving to number 4, the vibrato, and it's noisy, so it kind of has to be on its own loop. Then I moved to the next bank, the high bank. See, I was on the low bank, and now I'm on the high bank. Number 5 is the tremolo, and then I combined it just out of convenience, because I was moving fast, with my overdrive pedal. And that may change too. These may get grouped. Like I said, this is a work in progress, and the great thing about it is you can change it as you need very easily, just by turning the thing over and repatching. So those 2 are a combo on loop number 5. Then I moved to loop number 6. That's the Leslie. That's by itself too. So that's easy to turn on and off with the loop. Then I moved to number 7, and it's a combo of the timeline and the MXR reverb. So that's one delay reverb chain. It's after the volume pedal. And then the last loop, the 8th loop, is another delay reverb chain, which is the Eventide multi-effects and the Echo Park. The Eventide now I can also change and use as a chorus or flanger or modulation effect. Everything sounds quiet and nice, and the power strip barely takes any room on the pedal board, but it's there if I need to plug something extra in. Now the last thing I'll say is I would have loved to have a dedicated tuner out, and the nice thing about that MXR buffer is it had 2 outputs. I could have run the tuner off of that thing. So right here now, I don't see a place to run the tuner. That's okay, because all these volume pedals they make now, they all have a tuner out. So I will run my tuner. It'll be my external Peterson, or I may get a new tuner. I'll run the tuner off of the volume pedal, and that will solve that one. So we're set. I've created 4 presets to show you. Here's a rhythm preset. Here's a lead preset. Leslie preset. And just kind of a dreamy vibrato thing. And it's really easy to program. It has instant access mode. You switch to that and you just choose the pedals you want as you want them. You want to program something, you hit save, and you go into preset mode and you press the save button, and the pedals that you choose end up being A, B, C, or D of a number of banks. So you can have 4 presets on any banks, and you can switch all the banks and the instant access banks on the fly with no noise and while you're playing. So over here, all this is switchable while you're in process, and nothing happens until you actually press on these buttons.